Hey there, beautiful souls. It's Lisa. Welcome to the Sacred and Rooted podcast. I'm your host. You can think of me as your soul coach, meditation teacher, and general student of life, just like you all. In today's episode, I want to share with you 3 ways that meditation can be the quantum leap in your life that you are looking for. And to clarify, just so we're all on the same page, quantum leap for me is a small or big miracle where suddenly a mindset shift occurs. You know, a mindset shift comes together where you just start being different and responding differently in your life and moving differently in your life and literally vibrating differently energetically, which makes everything in your life reorganize and change in response to who you are being now. And this is always done in your highest good. So in my Meditation Essentials course, I talk a lot about the fact that most of our thoughts, day in and day out, are the same. And, you know, I discuss how that keeps us in a very familiar pattern, on a very familiar path. And it, you know, probably feels comfortable because it's familiar. But it is certainly not stretching us in any which way. And literally, I think the average number of thoughts a day is something like 70,000 thoughts a day. And most of them, like I said, are the same as yesterday. And so how do we stop that cycle? How do we step off our well-worn path? How do we get off our couch and try something different? And most importantly, how do we create an environment in our life that encourages new ideas and new paths? And my friends, meditation. meditation, my friends. Literally, it's the magic elixir. It's like the glitch in the system. It's the gap. It's space. It's where you can create an opening, a possibility into your existing life and do something else. To think something else, to be something else. It's the opportunity. And so one of my mentors just recently, her name's Sarah Jenks, she said this. She said, if you had a list of different lives that you could pick from, I hope that you'd pick yours. And if not, I'm here to discuss, you know, if not, that's where your work is. And I'm here to, you know, just kind of point you in a direction that meditation is just such a massive tool to up-level your life in any way that you're looking to make a change. And so I just want to be clear on the fact that you have immense power. You have immense power to design your life the way that you want. And meditation is critical in harnessing that power and, you know, using it for good. Like I don't know if that was a cartoon or some kind of Disney movie. But yeah, using it for good, using your power for good, using your power at all. Because sometimes we forget how to use our power, that we even have any at all in the first place. And so I know that meditation gets a bad rap sometimes. You're probably thinking, you know, you don't have time. You might have tried it, you didn't think you were doing it right, you're not really sure exactly how to start in on it. And then maybe it's just like, who cares anyway? Because none of us lives amongst life, so it just doesn't really seem like it would fit in with what we have going on here these days. And so my response to that would be this. If you are looking for, if you're looking around your life and wanting to find more time, wanting to find feel like you're being pulled in less directions, wanting to feel healthier, wanting to feel more confident in the direction your life is currently going, then meditation is worth learning and trying and playing around with. And at a bare minimum, you can continue to listen to this podcast episode and see if any of the rest of it resonates with you. Because sometimes change comes in baby steps too, right? So let me break it down into the 3 most important ways that meditation can be the quantum leap that you are looking for. And the first one is that meditation really invites each of us to quiet down. And in this world, there's so much distraction, so much noise, so much just, little things that want your attention every second. There's so much to distract us from a quality life. And so meditation invites you to quiet down. It invites you to quiet down so that you can hear your intuition loud and clear. And so whether you meditate for, hours and hours on the top of a mountain, watching the dawn rise or, the sunrise or the sunset, and, you have all the time in the world to just be floating around in meditation, or you don't think you have a ton of time and your life is like on 1,000%, go. Even finding 5 minutes to just breathe deeper and potentially focus on a mantra, just to give yourself a little break, a little space, a little gap in your day where your mind is sort of geared down, will make all the difference in your life if you can commit to doing it consistently. Even if it's just 5 minutes to start with. Because as you quiet down in that space of time, you will find your intuition and your soul, and you will begin to hear little bits of wisdom, little bits of wisdom that will help you make the rest of your life, the external part of your life, just run smoother. You will have more priority. You'll have a clarity and priority, which makes a lot of the other noise, all of a sudden it steps back. It becomes secondary. It's in the background compared to what you are hearing, what you are really trying to bring forward in the world, or who you are trying to be. So giving yourself that space to quiet down, just it will open up things I can't even begin to tell you how it might go for you or what you might discover, but whatever it is, it will be you and your soul in silence or in, symbols, in discussion, whatever. But it will just begin to align you with your interior life, with your exterior life. All right. And even if the only thing you get from it is literal health benefits because you are taking the time to just take a breather, take a time out, that would be amazing as well, right? So yes, meditation, number one, invites you to quiet down. And I don't know, I mean, every one of us has been on vacation. Every one of us has been, had a weekend and then you go back to work. It's kind of like that where when you step away from whatever you're normally doing or whatever normally filling your time with, you get different insights, you get different reflections, you get different new ideas. And so quieting down and taking a step away from just the routine of your regular days it's immeasurable. It's so valuable. All right, so the second way that meditation can be the quantum leap you're looking for is that it gives you space. And so this is kind of along the same lines as number one, where it gives you space. And so literally you have the space when you're meditating. But I would argue that almost more importantly than literally the time that you're spending meditating is how it impacts the rest of your life, like your day. Once you're back in your day, how are you responding? How are you reacting to things? Meditation gives you more space in that immediate time that you're meditating, but it also somehow gives you more space literally in your life. And so, for instance, as an example, I found when I first started meditating, and obviously I've continued to meditate, but one of the first things I noticed wasn't something that was happening when I was meditating. It was when I was in my daily life. I just recognized that I had more patience because I was giving myself like a timeout kind of to do some meditating. I was also much less reactive. Like it wasn't like I felt the need to instantaneously react to something. I was giving my response like a second or two just to ensure that my response was actually like a conscious response, not just sort of a reflexive response. And I have 3 kids, and I've, got a pretty, I've got 3 kids, I've got a, full-time job, I've got lots of different demands on my time. But I found that I was, if something came up that was sort of a situation, it was like, like, what the hell? That was kind of what I would want to say. Because it's like, what the hell? Well, like, don't do that. Or what are you doing, But instead, I would just take a couple seconds, pause, and then I would respond. And it would be a much more thoughtful, curious, loving response. And from there, the whole interaction would be totally different than if, I was responding from a worn out, tired, impatient, just frustrated space. And so that was the first thing that I noticed in my life that changed when I started meditating. And I didn't meditate for, I probably meditated 20 minutes in the morning a couple times a week. Like I wasn't doing it all the time because I couldn't figure out how to put that all in. But the consistency week over week doesn't need to come every day. It can be a couple times a week, but as long as it's regularly happening, you're regularly dipping yourself into sort of like the cool, still pond of meditation waters. Then when you come out of that, you are walking around with water all over you. You're dripping it all over you, right? And so that's sort of the same thing where you take that stillness of mind, stillness of heart that you find in meditation, and then it it kind of sticks with you like glue as you go out into your day-to-day life. And so, yeah, so the first thing I found was the patience was excellent. And that was really made a huge difference, especially with my kids, because obviously they can push my buttons. Anyway, and then overwhelm became less. There was less kind of like panicky, kind of less overwhelm. I've always been probably like on the calmer side anyways, but you know, when things are kind of coming at you at a pretty fast pace some days, and it's just like, oh my goodness, like what the hell? How am I gonna get all this done? Or how am I gonna juggle all these things, the kids, like their kids' activities and their friend activities? And, you know, it's just like, take a breath. It'll get figured out. It always gets figured out at some point. And so I found myself just a lot more, less right on the button, you know, like I didn't have to respond right away to things or like instantaneously. I could take a couple seconds. I could see that if life was coming at me like 1,000 kilometers an hour, that I could just take a second and then, you know, think, okay, everything always works out pretty okay in the end. And so like, you know, it's good. It'll get figured out. I don't need to have all the answers right now. I can, you know, move through my day, figure things out as they come, and life will go on. And so all of that sort of kind of precipitated from giving myself space. And that was through meditation. All right. So we did the first most important way was that it invites you to quiet down. So some days are better than others for sure. Sometimes the mind is just a little more anxious and a little more like, yeah, I don't know if this is actually going to work out. But a lot of, you know, with meditation, with consistency, it'll come down quite a bit. And even sometimes when people start, it actually increases because it's almost like sitting with yourself is anxiety producing, because usually you're not, and you're, you know, some people really spend a lot of time dodging themselves. And so, but this is like over time, your mind will quiet down and you will start to hear, you know, the timeless wisdom that you have, that your soul has, that, you know, you'll hear that a lot louder and clearer. Number 2, meditation gives you space. And by giving yourself space, you are going to react and respond to life differently. Like I said before, you're literally going to vibrate differently. And so you'll come at things energetically from a different place. And whether it's with your kids wanting more patience, whether it's at work and, you know, there's some surprise or somebody screwed up and it's like, okay, let's not panic. Let's not get overwhelmed. Let's just move through it knowing that everything works out. Like it, you know, so far in your life, you're standing where you are today and things have generally worked out pretty okay. So it's gonna probably keep going like that. And so just to give yourself the not even the idea, the fact that you can figure shit out. So give yourself space, give the problem space. You know, most things don't need to be solved in, 30 seconds or less kind of thing. All right, and so the third way that meditation can be the quantum leap that you're looking for is that it allows you to feel into and dip yourself into like the bigger meaning of life. And what I mean by that is that you become less vested in the 3D world and how it looks right now. And when we get too involved and associate our worth and our success and everything in the literal 3D world that we can see in front of our face, that can make you go insane. Like, it doesn't look awesome right now. And it's chaotic and it's stressful and it's sometimes makes no sense at all. And the reason, well, not the reason, but what I mean to say is that when you are dipping yourself into the pool of meditation, you are reminding yourself, you're coming back to yourself, you're reconnecting with the part of you that is beyond the physical world. Whether you want to call it your soul, your spirit, divine wisdom, the universe, intuition, whatever way you want to call it, you're going into you're in another realm. You're in the timeless, non-physical part of yourself that has a far deeper meaning and a far longer trajectory. And so the 3D world, your perspective becomes bigger, your view of everything is from a different perspective. And so then when you are back in the 3D world, somehow things don't quite look the same. Like, you can see them from a different lens. And so that brings some wisdom with it, that brings some insight that you can't get from literally just attaching yourself to the 3D world. And so the more frequently that you are connecting with your, what I would call your sacredness, your timelessness, your personal divine wisdom, you're connecting with a plane of this world that is tied to everything else. Like, it is, and I think I would argue that it's almost more important, but it's equally as important, if not more. So you're giving yourself that. It's like you, instead of just taking your life at face value, and I think I've been through this in another podcast episode where we did a comparison with, like, here's my typical day, here's an example of my typical day, here's an example of my typical day through a sacred lens. It's that same thing. It's, you can literally be in the same physical situation as you were, an hour before you started meditating. But when you come out of meditation and you go back into that physical situation, you see it differently. You are different. And so then your actions in there change the way that you change the dynamic. And so then everything changes. And so that is the third way that meditation can be the quantum leap you're looking for. And so with these three things, with, meditation allows you to quiet your mind down so you can hear your intuition loud and clear. Number 2, meditation gives you space, which then correlates with more patience, less overwhelm, less, anxiety. And then 3, meditation allows you to feel into the bigger meaning of life, to see sort of the bigger picture of things and not get so hyper focused on, some specific little thing that's happening in your life right now that is just sort of like poking at you. And so when I say that meditation can be the quantum leap you're looking for, if you are sitting here listening to this and thinking, yeah, I'd really like to do something different. I'm not even sure what, maybe. I just know that what is currently going on in my life is not it. It is not it. And so if you're looking to begin to explore what it might actually be, or what it might look like for you to have a life that you are just joyful in, that you're excited about, that you're feeling creative and engaged in, then I would invite you to take a look at my Meditation Essentials course, which would give you the absolute most solid foundation in meditation you could ever get. And there's meditations to practice with. You get your own mantra that's sort of specific to your birth date and time. And so it's just a really good way. It's kind of like the full package for, if you want to earnestly start meditating and give it like your full, give it your all, then I would recommend looking into it. I will leave the link in the show notes so you can read up on it on my website. And yeah, it's something where meditation allows you to just, you may not have all the answers. You may not even know where you're looking to go, but meditation will open up that gap. It will open up that space in your life to begin the conversation, begin the relationship with your soul, with your intuition, so that you can then begin to tweak and change and step off your path that you're on right now, one step at a time, into a life that you're more intentional about, that you are just, that you're more engaged in and just intentionally creating instead of subconsciously creating. Because either way you're creating, but one way is much more fun than the other. And the results are more enjoyable, that's for sure. So again, if you're interested, check out my Meditation Essentials course. The link is in the show notes, or you can head over to my website and find it there. My website is lisanicol.ca. I think I wish you all the best, because with the gap and with space in your life, gift yourself that little bit of time and just see how it does. Like a little experiment. Just give it a go for a few weeks and see if you notice anything. See if your friends notice anything. See if your family notices anything, because you may not notice a change at first, but it might be actually your family and friends that are kind of like, hey, you seem, you laugh easier, or you seem a lot more patient, or you seem more present even. And so I would encourage you to experiment with that and see where it goes. And then increase as you want. And it will be sort of like the jumping off point for change in your life. And so that's what I mean when I say quantum leap, because if you want to make a change in your life, you have to do something different, right? That's the bottom line. And so meditation can be sort of like a door that you can't really say for sure how it'll go as far as how your life might unfold with that, but it'll be an adventure, and it'll be an adventure of your lifetime, if you want to say. And always the idea is to move towards more ease, more alignment, which isn't necessarily more ease in the short term, but long term for sure. That is where I'll leave it with you today. And I hope you enjoyed the podcast episode. If you did, definitely hit subscribe. If you want to leave a comment or a review, that would be awesome. I'd really appreciate it. And if you do know anyone else who you think might enjoy this episode or any other episodes, please forward the episode, share it. All right, take care, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you. Bye.